Have you ever really thought about what happens on a microscopic level when you pop a pill? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on your medicine cabinet and explore the secret science of what we're calling helpers and blockers, the incredible concepts that make so much of modern medicine work. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with a question that seems, kind of like a trick question. What on earth could painkillers, blood pressure medication, and powerful HIV treatments possibly have in common? They tackle completely different things. But trust me, by the end of this, you'll see they are all connected by one single, incredibly powerful idea. So, to get to that answer, we first have to talk about the real unsung heroes working inside all of us. I'm talking about enzymes. The best way to think of them is as your body's tiny, tireless, and super efficient little engines. I mean, right now, as you're listening to this, millions of these enzymes are firing on all cylinders inside you, building new stuff, breaking down your lunch, managing just a countless number of chemical reactions. Honestly, without them, life just wouldn't happen. They are the ultimate catalysts for, well, everything. But here's the catch with a lot of these powerful little engines. They can't just start up on their own. Nope, they need a partner, a sort of sidekick molecule to really get them going. It really is like a two-part system. You've got the main enzyme, that's the apoenzyme, and it's basically just dormant, waiting for its helper to show up. That helper is a little something called a cofactor. And when those two click together, bam, you get the fully active holoenzyme, and now it's ready to do its job. So, to put it simply, that cofactor is the on switch. It's the tool that the engine absolutely needs to function. And here's something really cool. Many of these cofactors actually come from the vitamins in your diet. Yeah, just another reason to eat your veggies. Okay, so we can turn enzymes on. That's great. But what if an enzyme is causing a problem? What if it's working overtime, making too much of something that, say, raises your blood pressure? Or what if it's an enzyme that a nasty virus needs to make copies of itself? Is there a way to turn them off? Oh, you bet there is. And this, right here, is where the absolute genius of modern medicine really shines. We've figured out how to deliberately sabotage these tiny engines in a super precise, controlled way. The strategy is called enzyme inhibition. And just so we're clear, this isn't some niche, obscure concept. This is a massive deal. As this quote says, it's a cornerstone of modern drug therapy. It is one of the most important tools we have for treating disease, period. So, how in the world do we jam these engines? Well, the best way to picture it is with the classic lock and key analogy. The enzyme is the lock. The specific molecule it's supposed to work on, that's called the substrate, is the one and only key that fits. Simple enough, right? The goal of an inhibitor, then, is to stop that key from getting into that lock. And scientists have come up with two incredibly clever ways to pull this off. Two main strategies for jamming up that lock. So let's break down these two tactics. First, you've got competitive inhibition. This is basically sending in an imposter. It's a fake key that looks just enough like the real one to get into the keyhole and block it, so the real key can't get in. And then there's the other method, which is even sneakier. Non-competitive inhibition. In this case, the inhibitor doesn't even try for the keyhole. Instead, it latches onto the side of the lock and actually changes the lock's shape. So now, the original key doesn't fit anymore. How clever is that? Okay, so this whole business of blocking specific locks isn't just a cool science experiment. It is the fundamental principle behind some of the most important drugs on the planet. These are medicine's smart weapons. They don't just carpet bomb the body, they target the exact source of the problem. Let's start with a huge one. ACE inhibitors. The ACE part stands for angiotensin-converting enzyme, and its main job is to help manage our blood pressure. So, when a drug blocks or inhibits that ACE enzyme, it stops the body from making a chemical that tightens up our blood vessels. And the result? It's exactly what you'd want. Your blood vessels relax, your blood pressure goes down, and it takes a massive load off your heart. It's a direct and elegant solution for things like hypertension. All right, next up is a class of drugs I can almost guarantee you have in your house right now. We're talking about COX inhibitors, and that includes everyday painkillers like ibuprofen. You see, these COX enzymes are the ones that produce chemicals that send pain and inflammation signals all over your body. So, what these drugs do is they find those enzymes and just tell them to be quiet. They inhibit them, stopping those signals from ever being sent. The result? Less pain, less swelling, and a lower fever. It's a beautiful, targeted intervention. And finally, let's look at what is truly one of the greatest success stories in all of modern medicine,
protease inhibitors. These are an absolutely critical weapon in our fight against viruses.
Viruses like HIV need a very specific enzyme called protease to build new working copies of themselves. It's like the foreman on the virus's assembly line. Well, protease inhibitors go in there and they block that foreman. They stop that enzyme from working. So the virus can't build any more copies of itself. It literally stops the virus in its tracks. And it's what transformed HIV/AIDS from a certain death sentence into a manageable condition.
So let's just stop and think about that. 3 totally different problems, right? A heart under strain, a pounding headache, and a life-threatening virus. And yet, they are all treated using the exact same fundamental strategy. And that brings us all the way back to the beginning. What do those medicines have in common? The answer is this single, brilliant, powerful idea, targeted enzyme inhibition. You find the one tiny engine that's causing all the trouble, and you figure out how to put on the brakes. I mean, this science of helpers and blockers has completely changed our world. And as our map of the body's tiny engines gets more and more detailed, it just begs the question, what locks are we going to figure out how to pick or jam next? The possibilities are absolutely staggering to think about.